Do you see physical fitness as an engineering problem?
Absolutely. It's once you reach a certain baseline where you're running regularly, maybe 40-45 minutes per time for 2 or 3 times a week, then you've got the minimum requirements to make it an engineering hack. You can focus on the different aspects of running faster, things like strength, VO2 max, which is a key metric that we use for testing performance of runners, and you can focus on each of these things individually. I don't know if you know Amdahl's law.
No.
So Amdahl's law is basically how much you can improve a process when you've got things that are parallelized or sequential. So for example, if you have 2 independent parts and you improve the performance of the smaller part by, say, 50% or the performance of the larger part by 20%, you can get a bigger performance gain by doing maybe less significant performance improvements on the part that's more significant.
Okay.
So the same thing applies.
Now, and this is a personal question, as much as I'm phrasing it as a general question, if someone is at the point where they're ready to take running seriously, they do it consistently, they're ready to go to the next step, what advice would you offer? I mean, what's the first thing that they should start with?
Okay, so
they being me.
Interval training is really the big step. It's going from just jogging to consciously running faster in intervals, and so you run fast, break, run fast, break, and you do that for a few times. And you're never going to do that on your own. So the thing that's vital to get to that next step is to either join a running club or meet up with a colleague who has the same kind of goals as you and plan for a race, plan to do interval training together. Because once you've got that on a calendar and you've got somebody waiting for you, you're going to get up from your computer at the end of the day, you're going to go and meet that person, you're going to get into your gear, and it's going to get you out of the door. The first step is the hardest.
So a sense of social responsibility would be the key there.
Yeah, once somebody is depending on you and you're depending on them.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. How about personal data feedback? You know, do you need to make time during the course of the week to look at the information you're gathering? Let's say you're gathering information.
Right.
Take the moment to really look at that stuff and understand what it's showing you?
I think so in terms of tools and processes, I'm not a big quantified self person myself in terms of having a Fitbit on me or something like that, but I will track the times that I take for intervals. So different types of interval sessions, you have a target time, and I use something like a GPS, a Garmin 405 is what I use, or a stopwatch and a running track. Right? So you don't need complicated tools for this. And you can track your evolution over time with just using those tools. You see, did I run 5 seconds per interval faster than the last time I did this 2 months ago? So taking some time, maybe once a month, to review how you've done is good. But training programs are typically in cycles of 2 to 3 weeks. And you need to have a conscious cycle. During a cycle, you work on one aspect of your training. And cycles you work on speed, you'll build up your volume, and then you have a rest period where you let that training cycle take effect. So I think once every training cycle is a good time to do that.
Last question for you. You mentioned this a little bit. What is your take on the quantified self movement?
Well, I like it. I do like it, but as I said, I don't think you need complicated tools to track your health. Something like a heart rate monitor is useful to track a metric like your rest heart rate. That's very important. Something like a stopwatch to track the time that you're doing intervals. But you know, I do like the idea of tracking your performance over time. So there's actually a talk which is on right now by a guy called Fred Trotter, who's covering a lot more of the quantified self type aspects of running, and ways that you can motivate yourself to get up off the couch and do that first step, get to that first level. And I think it's an interesting phenomenon.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.